Hey everybody, welcome to the Step-by-Step Millionaire, where our job is to help you make money. Today we are talking about saving money or not spending money on renovations, because as Benjamin Franklin said, a penny saved is a penny earned, which nowadays would be more like a dollar saved is a dollar earned, inflation. What we want to talk about is when you're picking up a property, or even if it's your own home, renovations cost a huge amount, and if you put in a lot of money in renovations, you don't get that money out on the end. We don't like doing that. And so what we're going to do is take you around to several of the properties that we have, and we're going to show you things we did with kitchens and walls and furniture, and let you understand that if you think outside the box, you won't have to spend huge amount of money, and huge amount of money that doesn't go out is money that stays in your pocket, and money when you sell the house that comes back to you. Okay, one of the things people get wrong when they come into an old house, especially with moldings, you can see these beautiful moldings that are here, is that they feel that they have to go in, strip it down, hours of work, stain it, blah, 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 okay, you go insane. This house had nothing. The lady who had it before one night decided to paint everything white. I mean, every molding went white. A little depressing, unless you like white. So what the lady did here is, instead of spending all of the time de-whiting everything, she came up with a much better idea. First off, you can see all of the beautiful work that's on here. This isn't actually original to this. This is wallpaper. She got a hold of a dimensional wallpaper, put the dimensional wallpaper on. Then she painted it brown. Then she washed in a black. Just washed it in so that it went into the lower areas, and then she clear coated it with a clear coat that had a mahogany finish in it, and voila, you have this beautiful, what appears to be original framework around all of this stuff, but the time in was like a tenth of what it would have been if you stripped it all down, taken it all off, and refinished it. So again, remember, every time you don't put time in and you don't put money in, that's money in your pocket. And that's a lot of times where the great return on the dollar when you're fixing a house up comes from. The doorways, this had been a bank repo. They'd stripped all the moldings out. It was in bad shape. And these were, somebody had attempted to create a rounded door, and you couldn't buy moldings for this. So again, instead of going and spending the ridiculous amount of money to have somebody create moldings around, this is what we did. We built to create simply a square from MDF. A couple of these are like $5 each. Strip a cheap molding that goes around the whole piece. It goes on the piece in between, and it looks like it's original to the house, except without the expenditure. When we acquired this house originally, the ceilings in this one were falling down. It's the old plaster ceilings. And so we pulled down all of the roof in here. Now, putting up the new roof could have been a lot of labor, gyprock, everything, but instead, this is press board, a decent 1/4-inch press board, cut into sections. It got nailed up to the ceiling. You'll notice these medallions here. Again, they're easily cast from a hobby store. They carry stuff like this. So she cast some of these out of plaster, glued them onto the ceiling, and then this is simply strips of 2x4 that have been cut down about 1/2 inch, slightly run through a router, and she was able to achieve this beautiful ceiling instead of a plain flat ceiling, which you'd get if you gyprocked up, and this beautiful $2,200 light she found at a liquidation place. You're not going to believe this, for $20, 24 karat gold, plate on it, beautiful piece. Again, one more time, thinking outside the box saves you a lot of time and a lot of money. Now here's an item I want to talk to you about. If you've got popcorn ceilings and you want to create a beautiful ceiling in an older home, or even a new home, because we did this in one of our other, let me try that again. We did this in one of our other properties also, and that's this material here. I love this, okay? These are available, again, from talissadecor.com. We'll put a link down below for you. And so this goes straight in. These are flexible. we'll do a tight end shot so you can see later. This is the same material that when you buy a pack of meat in the store, that styrofoam underneath. Beautiful. They go up on the ceiling, completely paintable, and they glue in really quick. You can even see it goes beautifully around the rounded section of the ceiling. So it makes this bathroom just look absolutely beautiful. This material again comes from Talissa. It's 3 times as much, about $15 per square, but again, we wanted something a little better in the kitchen. This is made out of plastic, easily washable, beautiful, instant sealing. We come to the kitchen. When we originally came into this house, these were all baby eggshell blue with clouds painted on them. The lady, don't ask. We needed to create something, but we didn't want to spend a huge amount of money. The cupboards themselves were still good cupboards. That wasn't the problem. So what we did is, rather than getting rid of the cupboards and spending a fortune on them, this is an old house, we wanted something that looked good. This is just a standard molding that you can buy at Home Depot or anywhere else. Again, the press board that we talked about earlier. And what we did is we put it onto a table saw and we simply ran it along with the table saw, barely that thick. And you can see on the close-up that it creates these lines in between, beveled the edges here a bit, same table saw, glued them in. Cupboards are painted, nice older knobs, and voila, you have beautiful kitchen cabinets, but the whole set of cabinets redone, $200. That's a saving versus putting $20,000 of new kitchen cupboards in and not matching the decor of an older house. Now, you saw the cupboards that were green before, and one way of doing cupboards. When we came to this house, the cupboards again were made out of plywood and painted chocolate brown, just a piece of plywood painted chocolate brown. Now, as I said before, I could have pulled the cupboards down, but it's a 100-year-old house. I wanted to keep as much as possible. So again, 2 pieces of the inexpensive molding back to back, material in between, that same cheap molding. I think you're probably looking at a 25-30 cents Canadian per foot to be able to do this. Painted it cream when it was done and attached a new handle, something that was a nicer looking handle. Added some lower moldings to it, a few little gizmos and stuff as I went along, and this is what you end up with, which looks beautiful instead of tearing them down and spending, $25,000 to put the cupboards up. I spent about $250 and it ended up with a whole kitchen finished off and looking age-wise as a match to the house. Now, while we're sitting here talking about the kitchen, I also want to talk about these countertops. This is a granite countertop. Now, normally a granite countertop is going to cost you a fortune, but you want to be able to quickly create something, creates a beautiful countertop. So what we did is we picked up these tiles at a liquidation area for $2.50 a piece, cut them all, finished them off, granite countertop at a tenth of the cost of what would happen if you went and spent the money to have somebody come in and do it. This is another variation on countertops that I'm going to show you right now. You take 2 different kinds of granite, you cut the smaller sections. You will have to buy a saw, but the saw is like 135 bucks at any store, and you're going to save yourself a fortune doing this. It's very simple and easy to do. You can YouTube how to put down tile. It's simply 3/4 inch plywood underneath. This material goes on top. Keep the lines teeny for grouting, and other than that, you can see how this creates a beautiful, beautiful countertop. And again, the maximum cost you're going to be looking at is probably about $5 to $6 per square foot Canadian, not American. For the kitchen, when we got in here, the kitchen had been destroyed by the people that were in before, and it wasn't really that good in the first place. So what we did is I went online to Kijiji, waited for a nice set to come up. I was able to get these maple cupboards, the whole set, for $1,500. Now the guy was actually only asking $1,100, but I knew that if I didn't bid higher immediately, and I phoned the guy and I said, look, you hold it for me, I'll give you the extra $300, well worth the money. This would have been a $20,000 set. The one problem that we experienced was, as you can see down here on the countertop itself, there was not enough to go around the whole kitchen. This piece originally was in a shape like this. I didn't want to waste it, but if I went and wanted to buy more countertop to go around the whole kitchen to have enough, I was going to have to spend $1,000. Now I'm too Jewish for that. So I needed to come up with a way of fixing it. So as I said, this piece was originally not to this shape. You can see here that there's a bump. So what I did is I had Mr. Hessel, that's in one of our other videos you want to see, I had him cut this section off. We re-put some of the glue on between, and you'll notice back here, as I said before, this was originally a shape that did not fit. So what we did is we took pieces from the end that we cut off, they go in and they'll get glued in like this. It fixes the counter, and not only does it fix the counter, but it creates that secondary level up, and it makes it look even better. So again, think outside the box. Don't look at something and say it can't be done. Look at something and say, how can it be done? Go on YouTube, think about it, talk to friends. This saved me $1,000. $1,000 in my pocket, tax-free. So now we're at a new property. This is one we just acquired. Very 1940s when we were originally in here. There was wallboard paneling and everything else. So what we wanted to do was optimize the look at the least amount of expenditure, because then when you put it back on the market, you're going to end up putting a lot of profit into your pocket. Most expensive things in here were these blinds, nice 2 inchers. Everything else done on the cheap, and I'll show you some of the area. So this kind of wallpaper, it's available at places like Home Depot and stuff like that. Is amazing stuff. So as I said, underneath was Grandpa's wallboard, and we filled it in with a little wall mud that you use for repairing in the house, sanded it lightly, put a coat of primer on it, and then this goes on top of it. And once this is on top of it, you can paint it any color you want. What we did is we painted it a taupe. We went down to the local paint store. They have mist tints. Take a couple of mist tints, 3 or 4 cans if you want, usually $10 instead of $50 for a gallon. Mix a couple of them together, you'll always get a nice taupe, which is in style now. You can get a greeny taupe, a brownie taupe. We chose this color because it was quite nice and it matched everything that's in here, which this we picked up for $15 at a liquidation place. And then you end up with a beautiful wall instead of what it was before, but we didn't take the wallboard off. We didn't have to spend the time fixing the walls or anything. It went straight to this. Now, also, if you look up at the moldings that are here on the ceiling, we have nice big moldings. It's not actually nice big molding. What it is we've got 2 of those, and very inexpensive moldings. They come at Home Depot in a 10-pack. So it's like, I think about $1 a square foot or even less, and very inexpensive. So we put one up, a second one, and then a cheap third one underneath, caulked in between, painted them all white. So instead of paying $6, $7, $8 per square or per linear foot, we're paying about I think we paid about $1.25, we figured it out, per linear foot. And that's a huge saving because we put these big moldings again throughout the whole house. I want to talk also about this material here, again available at any place where you can pick up materials for doing your house. This stuff's really awesome if you want to give the room a really nice divide look. What it does is, if you just have your room one single, it makes the room look smaller. As soon as you put on moldings in a separate area like this, your room's going to look a lot wider. And so again, inexpensive molding. This material here goes in 2 pieces again, 1 piece of this, 1 piece of the less expensive to make the moldings look good. This on top of it. I think the whole room that we redid, and we'll pan it for you, we ended up spending about $350 to complete the whole room. Now when we got into this living room, the cracks and stuff in the wall are simple. We just put mud in. Again, we brought that taupe color in here, using the mist tints to save the money. The ceiling was a little annoying. It was these old tiles that they put in the 70s that they stapled up. Now I could have pulled all of those tiles down, but if I'd done that, I would have created a massive amount of work. It was probably a cracked ceiling up there, probably problems. I don't want to see the problems. Again, we brought in the material from Talissa Decor, the foam. We stuck it up, and we'll pan here to let you see the ceiling across the whole, and then we put moldings, again the inexpensive stuff around the edge, some nice little pieces in the corners, and again using the triple molding effect around the whole thing. Cost of the whole ceiling, in fact the cost of the whole room's repair was $1,600 including furniture. The outside of your house, street appeal, super important, costs a fortune. You want to re-side, you want to put rock on your house, you have to have some guy come in. Yeah, right. I mean, I've worked with a friend of mine who does rock, and on the front of this one house alone it was like $30,000. So I'm going to show you how to do this a lot cheaper. You see the nice rock work that's on here. Now, first off, it's faux stone. You can pick this up at a lot of stores, but it costs a lot of money. It seems like it's hard to do, but I'm going to show you a way to do it so that you can do it for pennies on the dollar. Okay, so basically, here's your faux stone. We've created a bunch of this because we're going to be doing some work here in town to help the town out and refurbish, revitalize the downtown. So you can see this little piece here. All it is cement that has been created out of, concrete. Anybody watching this will be horrified if I said cement. This is a piece of concrete. What it is it's simply play sand that's been mixed with some cement. The ratio is 1 to 3, so 1 cement scoop for every 3 of sand. You mix it up. Then all we did is we put out a 4x8 sheet of plywood with some plastic on it, just some garbage bags. You plop some down to the shape you roughly want. Then you put some saran wrap over top of it, pat it lightly, which brings all of the bubbles and stuff out, pull the saran wrap off, makes it look pretty nice. After it dries, 2 to 3 days, then you take a latex paint, brown, whatever, water it down a lot, and then go over it with different colors of latex. You may get all the same color if you want. We make ours with different colors, so I'll use some with whites on it, some with a reddish brown on it. And it gives it, and then when we're done with the color, I usually take a little white that's been thinned down, brush over it once it's dry. This is what you end up with. They're easy to break. When you need them, you just literally just hit it with a chisel down the middle, and you can break it wherever you want. And application is actually very simple, so I'm going to explain the application also and how it's done. So after you make the stone, it can be applied. This is one of our other properties that we've applied it to. It brings a wonderful sense, and again you can see we've reused the siding by turning it around and doing that white and then putting the stone underneath, and it just gives a beautiful cabiny feel to it. Very, very low price. We did the whole front of this for about $120. If we had somebody come in and do the stone all the way around, it would have been thousands of dollars. Huge saving. So in order to put the stone on, first you need some tar paper to go on, then this metal lath that you can buy at any place. Just tell them you're doing stonework. It comes in sheets about this big by about 8 feet long. You put them on with shingling nails about every 6 inches. After that, it's really simple. You take your rock, you take some cement that you mixed up, slap it on the back of the rock, wet the rock ahead of time, by the way, in a pail of water, put the cement on, and you push it into place, leave it, move on, push another one, leave spaces in between. You can, as I said, look for YouTube videos on this. Very simple to do. Don't mess with the cement in between. Wait until it's dry to the touch, and then you scrape it with a stick and smooth it all down. Again, YouTube videos, watch them first. Don't do it without YouTube videos. Very simple, very easy, a little time consuming, you know, to do a whole area, which we're going to do this. This will probably take a day, but you're going to save thousands of dollars, and you're going to feel great because you've done something yourself. You got a house you just picked up and it's got this kind of siding on it, the 1970s stuff, and most people just rip it off and throw it away. If you want to save it and you want to save a lot of money, don't rip it off and throw it away. Or if you know somebody who is throwing it away, you could pick it up if you want to do something on your house. It has a finished side on both sides. You can take this stuff off, cut it in half, and turn it one half around and re-nail it on, and I'll show you what it looks like when we do that. So what we did, as I said before, the edges are finished. So we cut it in half, flipped it around, put a 1x4 on the side. We did some decorative work with 1x4s and stuff down here. This is the same siding that's cut and painted. So after repainting and everything, now it looks like the old siding, which refurbishes the old house back to that beautiful turn of the century kind of look, but you didn't spend any money. His savings on that, $5,000. Okay, interior woodwork. Everybody loves to have the beautiful wall done like this. It's all faux. This cheap molding that I mentioned before, there's a couple of pieces here. Again, this is a piece of molding that we created. This isn't wood at all. What we've simply done is we painted it with brown, and then we took a darker brown on the brush and just lightly, and you can find YouTube videos on doing this sort of stuff, a line to make it look like it's real wood. So again, the cost in here is very, very little, but your return on it is fantastic because it looks like real wood and people love the look. You're going to increase the value of the house. Okay, you've got a bunch of scrap wood around, different pieces of material. It's not going to look good. There's a way of making it look good. So this is a divider between the two rooms, and what we've done here is MDF built the box. On the other side is a library shelves for books. This is two pieces of MDF molding back to back. Then you fill in between with caulking. Same cheap molding here, make it look like it's built out. Then the whole thing's painted brown. Then you go in with a brush and create the lines across all of it, make it look like it's a single carved piece. And then you finish off with a clear coat with a stain in it, stain color, and it gives it the impression it's wood. I have yet to have anybody come in and not know that this is real. So that gives you an idea of some of the things that you can do in order to put in renovations that look great, but don't spend a lot of money. And as I said at the start, if you don't spend the money on the outset, that money stays in your pocket tax-free, and when you sell the house, even more. So that's basically to give you the idea that you need to start looking outside of what you think. YouTube, go to YouTube. There's some great material on there on what you can create for inexpensive amounts of money. If you like what you see, please hit the like button, the subscribe, you know how this works. Pass the video around if you know people that are working on their house right now and need some ideas. And if you have ideas of your own, please stick them in down in the comments, throw some links and stuff with it so that people who are reading and seeing this can get more and more ideas. Thank you for watching. Now go out and make some inexpensive renovations.